I'd like to read for you a quote from Dr. Russell Troll from an address he delivered at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. in 1862. The speech was called "The True Healing Art," or Hygienic versus Drug Medication. Have you ever heard of a sanative? You know what that is?
No, sanative, no.
A sanative is something that has the power to cure or heal or restore. Something that is conducive to physical or spiritual health and well-being. So Dr. Russell Troll, this great quote, he talks about this thing called the matchless sanative. Something that has the power to heal but is matchless. So here's the quote. "And the matchless sanative, who has not known of its marvelous cures? 25 or 30 years ago, it was all the rage in some places. I have seen many chronic invalids who had worn out half a dozen regular physicians and swallowed the whole round of patent nostrums, but nothing ever did them so much good as the matchless sanative. Well, it was a matchless medicine. It was the very best remedy, as a universal panacea ever sold to an afflicted mortal at an extravagant price, for it was pure water and nothing else."
Wow.
Now that is a statement coming from the guy who has written the Hydropathic Encyclopedia, which I haven't even dug into yet. And I'm going to read you one more thing from him, and it's a poem. And it's only 4 lines, but the implications of what he's stating in it are as advanced a thing as you and I have ever talked about. Seriously. And this was from 1863, from something called The Month, a column in the Herald of Health, which was published in New York. And the poem, of course, is called Water. "To the days of the aged it addeth length. To the might of the strong it addeth strength. It freshens the heart, it brightens the sight. 'Tis like quaffing a goblet of morning light." So, right there, I mean, I think one of the highest things I can say about water is that when you know, that water is a conduit for pure light. And when you are pure, when your body does not have much dirt in it, you channel more light. And when your body is dirtier, people get gray and they channel less light. And right here, when he says, "'Tis like quaffing a goblet of morning light," he's saying that water is like drinking light. And that's right on. That was 1863. Amazing.
Yep.
And one more quote from him is just great. He says, "If children were properly educated, or rather, if medical men had not miseducated the world, every ABC school boy and girl would have known that pure air and pure water are the best." So, those are 3 pretty awesome quotes. And none of those are even out of the Hydropathic Encyclopedia. Those are just speeches and essays he was giving.
Amazing.
So we got that going for us. And something else we got here is a modern day doctor, and he doesn't mention distilled water or urine at all. And his name is Dr. Sidney Baker. He has a couple of books, but the one I'm holding now is called Detoxification and Healing, the Key to Optimum Health. He's got a pitcher of water being poured into a glass. And I'd like to talk about detox, because that's what this guy is really good about. and he has finally put a scientific doctor's stamp on what I was noticing and feeling already, and putting into my own layman's terms, which is that detoxification is the most expensive process that the body goes through. And we have these detox symptoms that people are experiencing. And I'm noticing that the detox symptoms people are experiencing now are not matched in all of the books. We've been being sprayed with chemtrails for about 15, almost 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And most of these books, yeah, well,
they have pictures of National Geographic from the early 80s that have chemtrails in them.
Okay, gotcha. But of course, most of my urine therapy books and most of my distilled waters books were all written before that. And the detox symptoms that people are having now are a lot more severe, or they can be, for the average person. What Dr. Sidney Baker put it, I'll just say this, he said that there's a pairing up, and that's the key word. That when you detox, each individual toxin needs to be escorted out of the body by one of your organic mineral stores. And this is finally answering the last ruse that I couldn't quite give an answer to, except that they were just lying, in the Mercola, the early death article. And that was, they referred to these, whoever the article that the author was referring to, done many tests over his lifetime and over 3,000 case studies, something like that. You notice that after people drinking distilled water had depleted minerals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's obvious from science and opposite attract that distilled water cannot magnetically attach to any of your organic minerals that are supposed to be in your body. It only attaches to those that are negatively charged, positively charged. And this pairing up, this is what is causing some people to get low minerals when they first start hitting the pure waters. But we notice that it never happens to a relatively healthy person or somebody who has already done a lot of the cleaning out work. Everybody noticed that when they first try fasting, it's harder. It's the hardest in the beginning, and you get hit with the heaviest detox symptoms. And as you stay on the distilled waters, the detox symptoms get less and less. So what's going on there? Why is it that in the beginning, when you hit the distilled waters, you can get a whole variety of different uncomfortable feelings? Doctor, this is a great book, Detoxification and Healing. This guy explains it very well, that all toxins have to be paired up with an escort. They can't just, he talked about, for instance, ammonia cannot just be allowed to free roam the blood system. And also we know that when you drink soda, that it literally leaches calcium out of the bones. And that's because your body has to use up its actual stores of organic minerals to pair up with these toxins.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what is causing mineral depletion. And this is why you can study, 3,000 patients who go on distilled water and see them having low electrolytes. But that only happens in the beginning. That only happens because the toxins that you have in you right now that are quote unquote safely tucked away have never been paired up with your toxins. And because the body tucks things away that it doesn't have time to process. It only will process things properly. It won't eject toxins unless it can do it with the proper water and proper escorts, the pairing up. So if you're consuming more garbage than the speed, and it's excelling the speed at which your body can eject garbage, your body tucks it away in places that aren't vital to you, like along the sides of your bones, in between your bones, along the pathways of your veins, causing plaque, along the sides of the colon, like a compacted matter. And so when you finally do start giving your body the proper water flow to move these things out, it starts to say, okay, well, we're gonna deal with this piece of, say, phosphoric acid or carbonic acid. I don't know if it's both or one of those. It's in soda, but whatever. Okay, now we need to pair up. We need to steal a piece of calcium from your bones to match it up with this piece of soda garbage that we didn't have time to process or the capacity to process 5.5 years ago when you drank that particular Coke with those literal toxins in it. So people are carrying around decades-old garbage. And when they first start hitting the pure waters, now they actually have to deal with things that they ate 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And this guy, Dr. Sidney Baker, puts it very well by saying that it's the most expensive process, the immune system and the detoxification. And there is a pairing up, and that explains. So it's not the water that's sticking to and leaching minerals. It's the very things that you put in your mouth that you never should have. And in general, we're finding, and it's what will make obvious sense to relate to that, is juicing mitigates detox symptoms. And so, in John Armstrong's books, in all the urine therapy books, there's almost no talk of juicing, and people could just start pounding their urine with no, they would have the detox symptoms, but they would just go through it and could make it through. But sometimes, so I tell people that they control the speed of the detox. If it's too much detox, if you feel too bad, if you feel weak, if you feel your heart feel weird, you can control the speed of it. So back off on the distilled waters, and or increase the intake of juices, because what that'll do, especially during the early stages of detox, will provide you those organic minerals that you need to pair up with your ancient toxins. And it'll help you not feel so bad in the beginnings of detox. And, of course, we find that the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, you have two very sick men, one 400 pounds, one 300 pounds, almost 300 pounds. And what I'm noticing in that movie is that they have very few detox symptoms. And they were choosing juices, one of the 4 distilled waters. And it's that massive amounts of nutrients coming in with the juices to pair up with all their ancient toxins, that even though they're extremely loaded with toxins, I mean, that 400-pound trucker, he had relatively few detox symptoms compared to what I see in the urine therapy world or the just distilled water world. And so I think just a general rule of thumb would be that, in general, for any detox symptoms you're feeling, that drinking juices will help to mitigate those and flush them out faster and not steal from your body's reserves.
Absolutely.
Something else that I need to address about Santos, this has really bothered me, is his promotion of Kangen Water. And he had Karen Ann McDonald on his show, who goes around giving talks and promoting and is a sales lady for the multi-level marketing scheme of $4,000 Kangen machines. These alkalizing machines, which are actually produce deadly water. And I specifically spent at least a half an hour during one of my 3 talks with Santos destroying alkalizing machines and Kangen machines and talking about how poisonous they are.
What is the Kangen machine? Just tell me what it is, because it comes up a lot. It's just an alkaline machine, but it's a more expensive model. Is that what it is?
Yes, but...
Well, I interviewed a guy who, he's taken that and he's adding it with monatomic gold. God. And he's talking to higher realms in the 5th dimension or something. Okay. And I think it's, if there's anything satanic, I think this is pretty close to it.
Well, it's straight up...
Everything is not meant for us to be a part of that. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, it produces straight up poison. There's nothing good about alkalizing machines. And there's not just the Kangen brand, there's a whole bunch of them, but they're all expensive and they're all produce alkaline water. And this is opposite land. You don't want alkaline water. Alkaline water means it's deadly. It means it's got burnt fuels in it. It's got ash, otherwise known as alkalis. And Kangen machines, if you use tap water in that, the only actual cleaning of the water in a Kangen machine is a carbon filter. That's it. Okay? Then it goes to the next chamber, which is what the thing is really all about, which is to alkalize it. It does this by
right?
No. Well, that's what I thought at first, and there's a mistake in the Lisa Harris interview. Somebody had just mentioned alkalizing machines, Kangen machines, to me before the Lisa Harris interview, and I hadn't had a time to look into them yet. But people were talking about all these miracle healing reactions that people were having after drinking this water. And I incorrectly assumed, okay, maybe it's one of those, maybe the machine is adding drops to it. So you hear me talk about Kangen machines adding drops to it. But it doesn't do that at all. I just assumed that's how which is still deadly, just like what's killing Santos. They add alkali, trying to alkalize the water by adding dead matter to it. Which is what it does. Alkalinity, alkaline, alkalize, ash, that's dead matter. When you burn a piece of wood, you get ash, has what's in it known as alkalize. You don't ever feel like eating ash. The energy comes from living things are acidic. And when you eat them, they have fuel to burn. And it's just like when you burn a piece of wood, that energy, potential energy that's in the piece of wood, the spent fuel residue is called ash or alkalize. And so people are adding dead matter. They're adding ash to their water, these concentrate drops. It's all dead matter. And yes, it makes it alkaline because it's dead. And Kangen machines, they work in all alkalizing machines. They work by method of electrolysis. And lysis means to break apart in Latin or Greek. And so electrolysis means to break apart with electricity. It is literally frying the water. And one of the things that they use to promote alkaline, this Kangen water, is that the machine, the process, makes smaller, tighter water molecules. But it is a complete half-truth kind of lie thing. Yes, it makes quote-unquote smaller water molecules because it blows the molecules apart into pieces. It's not that it organizes it and structures it and makes it a tighter H2O. It literally separates an H off of the H2O, and you're left with H and HO. And HO is called hydroxide. That water, that machine does not put out H2O. That machine does not put out water. It puts out hydroxide. Ask any biochemist if it's a good idea for a human to ingest hydroxide. They'll slap you silly. They say, no, bad monkey. That's a poison. And in Japan, very bad monkey. In Japan, Kangen water is not given to people by doctors to drink in volume. It is only ever given to people 1 ounce at a time in a shot glass because it's poisonous. And they specifically give it to chemo and radiation patients because the ingestion of that poisonous liquid, this back to the method of poisonous stimulation, it forces the body to go into emergency detox mode. And because of that thrust, that push to eject the hydroxide, because it's poisonous, some radiation and chemotherapy poisons also get pushed out. So they give it to people on purpose, knowing that it's poisonous, knowing that it'll stimulate a detox reaction because it's poisonous, to help them eject some of their radiation. So it's like fighting fire with fire, right? But if you don't have a fire, there's no reason to consume fire or poison. And so that's one way that they're confusing people and trying to say it makes a smaller water molecule. It's not water, as one doctor put, it's not water at all, and he calls it not water, because it's an accurate title. It looks like water because it's made of hydrogen oxide. It's still a clear liquid, but it is not H2O. It's HO. Totally different animal, okay? This stuff is poisonous off the charts, and I know Dr. Robert Morse testifies all the time to dealing with victims who come to him from a couple of years on these machines. So people report these amazing healing reactions to drinking the Kangen water. And that, again, they don't realize that what they're talking about is because it's poisonous. Yes, in the beginning, people start ejecting poisons because they're forcing their body to do this. And it can take 6 months to 3, 4, 5 years maybe. But what happens is people start to get electrically skitzed out. They start to get weird and freaky. And I even had an old lady call into my show, and she just couldn't quite find the words to put for what the Kangen water was doing to her. She just said, I started to feel weird. I think she even said something like, I got skitzed out or just strange. And what is going on is the daily consumption of mass volumes of that poison puts your immune system under tremendous stress. And remember, I said early on that Dr. Sidney Baker said that's the most expensive process in your body is the immune system and the detoxing. And so this forces your body to detox constantly, massive amounts of poison, and it starts to give out after a few years. It just can't handle it, and people's bodies start to break down in all kinds of incredible, horrifying ways. And I even saw a testimonial from an ex-Kangen salesman saying, even though I kept telling my family, you're getting healthier and healthier and healthier because this water is so awesome for you, because I'm reading all the materials and I'm giving you all of the key points that you're supposed to say to sell this machine in its multi-level marketing scheme, but yet my family just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And finally I had to face the reality that it wasn't true. And he stopped being a Kangen salesman and stopped pushing this poison on his family. Okay, so I went through all of that with Santos Bonacci and explained how deadly this water is. And then about 6 months ago, I think it was on American Freedom Radio, Santos had Karen Ann McDonald on his show and just let her run rampant about Kangen water. And even when it came time to go to break and commercial break and come back, he's like, all right, we'll be right back with more Kangen Water. And it was like, being cool and fun and exciting with it. Never once countering this person who was promoting death. Even though I had given him a complete lesson about it. So I wrote to him because I first found out about it because people were writing me. They're going, Andrew, what is wrong with Santos? Why is he having this woman on promoting this deadly water? And so I wrote to him. I said, Santos, and in capital letters, I said, you got to correct that stuff. I said, that's deadly information. What are you doing? And he wrote back to me and said, I let my guests say what they want to. And I was like, really? Even when it's deadly? But I was so blown away that I didn't say anything. I just wrote back to him and said, okay, dude, I guess it's your show. You can do what you want. And he gave me a further one-liner response back, was that, yeah, when I had you on, I even got death threats. None of that, even if that's true, which I don't doubt it.
I don't mean to laugh, but yeah.
That's got zero justification for spreading death knowledge, for letting somebody talk about a poisonous fluid and not saying something.
But you're in backwards land. What do you expect?
Yeah, but I don't expect that of somebody who I thought was promoting the truth.
But he's promoting his own truth. He really.
I guess. Well, okay, so that means part of his own truth is deadly, and now we can just look at him and see his own truth is killing him.
Right.
And to say that, I didn't ask him this because I was just so blown away, I just let it go. But really, you just let your guests say what you want? So you mean that if I came on your show and completely said exact opposite truth and lies about astrotheology, you would just let me go on about it? You wouldn't correct me at all?
What did he say?
Well, no, I didn't say. I never asked him that. I just left it alone because he was saying that's his show and he just lets his guests do what they want. But of course, that's the obvious, immediate thought. Like, no, really? You just let people say whatever they want, even if it's complete lies? And so, the example for him would be: would you let somebody spew complete false lies about your astrotheology science? No, he'd destroy them. He'd rip them apart and say, no, you're wrong about this because for this, and this. He'd point out. But he did not do that in the slightest bit when he had Karen Ann McDonald on his show. Now, to really pull this into a point and to show you how blatantly poisonous alkaline water is, and water out of Kangen alkalizing machines. Karen Ann McDonald, anybody can find this, just find the Santos Bonacci Karen Ann McDonald interview, and I think it's about 30 minutes in when she puts down distilled water, puts down reverse osmosis water, and what she gives as a proof to show that Kangen alkalized water is good for you, she says, quote, and yeah, a lot of times when people drink Kangen water, their lips start to tingle.
Oh, yeah, I heard that. Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah, she says it in an excited voice and just, oh, wow, it's such a wonderful thing. People, even their lips start to tingle. Okay, everybody, stop what you're doing and get on the Google machine and type in lips tingling. You will not find anything good about that. Lips tingling throws up massive red flags. All the lights come up on the board, and nothing but pure warnings about poison and allergic response. Lips tingling is a sign that you are being poisoned. And these people are so misinformed that they're actually going around stating that the poisonous symptoms are something to be happy about. And it's a sign of joy. This is total madness. And I put out a public demand for people to ask Santos about this and say, what are you doing? Why are you promoting death? Are you serious? We're in the truth movement and you just let people go off about deadly poisons and then say, Kangen Water, we'll be right back. Really? I don't think so. I think there needs to be a major correction coming out of Sandoz Bonacci's mouth on numerous fronts.
And also, you need to understand too that he may be possessed by the effects of what he's doing. I mean, whatever he's putting into his body, these salts, to whatever. What did you call them? The 12
salts and stuff. There's a book called that. And
yeah. So he's. I mean, he believes that on the month you were born, there's a certain salt dedicated to that, and you might be deficient in it. That's the basis of it, and that you need to add that to your diet. And he, he studied this, and he believes that this is true. Unfortunately, he doesn't see the effects of his own research on himself. I'd like to have him on as an interview. I would certainly ask him. I mean, I would have no problem with that. I'd have you on too in the background. That would be pretty cool. But
well, I'd be willing to do a show with him. I don't know if he'll want to now, but there's something going on, something not right with what's coming out of that boy's mouth lately.
But it's also instructive to know that you call this what, backwards land or
opposite
backwards
land.
world, opposite world. Okay, there's two paths, and there's going to be miscommunication. We're not going to be able to talk to each other even. So we're becoming more and more aware of this.
Water is the way out of the matrix.
Right.
That's what the matter is. The matrix is the matter. Water is the lubricant between dimensions. All light in this universe comes here through water. All matter is condensed light. The matrix is matter. The way out of the matter is through the water. That's how we got here, and that's the way back out. I'd like to talk about two incredible movies that have come to my attention as being vast stores of knowledge, but hidden in plain sight. One is The Never-Ending Story, and the other one is a more recent movie called Legend of the Guardians. It's a movie about owls, of all things.
I saw that.
And I got it because I thought, that'd be fun to watch a pretty movie with pretty pictures of birds. And whoa, my jaw dropped when that movie started. The first thing that they start out with is a child kidnapping ring. The baby owls fell out of their tree, and these scary-looking owls come by and swoop them up. And for some reason, these owls don't ever seem to even think to look in the tree above them, right where they were. If you found a child lost in the street, you might bang on the doors on the surrounding houses. Hey, is this your kid? Before you decide to steal it to an orphanage, which is what they do. They take these kids away and put them into a work slave camp. That's weird. And there's a snake that raised the baby owls. And the snake is purple, and the Ouroboros is the snake symbol of the snake eating its tail. Mm-hmm. Well, this snake is purple, and its name, I kid you not, is Mrs. P.
Right.
And this is the snake.
Coming back. Yep. Mm-hmm.
The snake that raised the babies. We were all the Ouroboros as a baby in the womb. We all were a snake eating its own tail.
Oh my
we
God.
Produced the urine, and we drank ourselves. We consume ourselves, and we grow in the womb. And that's the most revered symbol. It's one of the oldest symbols on the whole planet, is the symbol of the snake eating its tail in a circular pattern. And that's what you do when you pee in a glass and you drink it. You're consuming yourself. And so they got a purple snake called Mrs. P raising babies in this movie.
Right.
Okay? Now, the hero character's name the owl is called Soren. Soren, okay? So hold that in your mind for a second and realize that urine is called urine And this baby owl's name is called Soren. Now hold that in your mind. Let's go over to the movie, The Never-Ending Story, which was based on a book written over 100 years ago, I believe called The Water of Life, if I remember correctly. And that's what The Never-Ending Story is based off. And now it's called The Never-Ending Story. The snake, the symbol of the snake eating its tail is a round and round thing. It's a never-ending story, okay? Now, I got that right there. Okay. In the never-ending story, there is a magical necklace that is called the Auron. And it's spelled A-U-R-Y-N. And the hero character's name in The Legend of the Guardian is called Soren. And the medallion in Neverending Story is called Auron. And the medallion is a double Ouroboros. It's two snakes eating their tails in like a figure-8 pattern. And the original book, Auron, always printed in capital letters, is mentioned 22 times. And of course we know that in the Bible the water of life refers to urine, is mentioned 55 times. The whole movie is about urine therapy and the Ouroboros. And it's incredible the quotes that are in that movie about what the Auron amulet will do to the wearer, the amount of protections it will give. It's talking all about urine. But I think I want to announce that I figured out that the actual, if we did have the real English word for urine, it wouldn't be urine, it would be Auron. And I've said in my talks many times that nobody likes to say the word urine, and that it's a corrupt word. It's just like penis and vagina are uncomfortable to say in English. They're not, when you listen to just the sounds, they're not nice sounds. And we even had the vagina monologues play written about how uncomfortable it is to say the word. And the English language is a corrupt language meant to keep us low vibrating. It's full of low vibrating correct words. Even your intent may be there. Your sound is so important. The sounds you make in the beginning was the word, and that's sound. And urine sounds like a car that won't start. It's like a urine, right? It's not a nice word. And I understand now that urine is the word for the water of life for a slave. And the sound is a very low vibrating sound, and that's on purpose. When you start getting into the or sound, it makes a lot more sense, and there are so many words that have the or sound, which are beautiful, wonderful things. And things that have the sound tend to be things you're not really interested, like dirt and turd. And even the name for our planet is Earth. But that's the name for a slave. That's not the original name of our planet. That's the name for when it became a slave planet, is Earth. And the original first city on the Earth that we know about in the Sumerian history was called Ur. So and that's the first slave city, right? But when it comes to Or, and like Auron, and the lead character's name Soren, and the medallion Auron, and in Spanish, urine therapy is not called urine therapy. It's called orinoterapia. Auron. So the or sound, your light body, is called an aura. Gold is the elemental symbol for it is AU. The Hebrew word for light is ore, O-R. Gold in Spanish is called oro. The agency or medium of a god is called an oracle. In Greek, to urinate means is said oren. To urinate, oren. And oran is urine in Greek. And so in all these other languages, urine is referred to as oren. And Wilhelm Reich's light force was called orgon. A fruit garden, it's called an orchard. One of the most lovely flowers is called an orchid. To orchestrate, to come into order. Now, what all this is pointing at, and we have organic minerals. It's when things become organized, that or whatever that is a good thing, and it's prevalent in the words that have or in them. And you don't want inorganic minerals. Those that means they're unorganized and they can't hold light. You want organic minerals because they're organized and they hold light. And when you orchestrate something, when you put it into order, or when you organize things, see, all these things with org are all these wonderful things. We have an orgasm, right? We have an organism. Orinoterapia is in Spanish. And the Ouroboros. And there's even an alternate spelling of Ouroboros where there's no U in the beginning. It's just O-R-O. And I found out that Boris in Hungarian is a nickname for a heavy drinker. So we got an Ouroboros, a heavy drinker of oro, of light. And I'm trying to say that water, pure water, channels light. And that's what all these words are showing you, that light comes through water and it organizes things. And that's why it's called the Ouroboros. That's why it's called orinoterapia. That's why it's called your aura. And that's why the medallion is called the Oren. And it's spelled with an A-U, just like your aura. It's because these are the words and the sounds to describe, to properly sound, water that channels light, the water of life. And so I believe that the proper way to talk about urine in English is not urine, it's orin. I'm going to see if I can do that for now, but I really want to announce that to the world and let people know. Try to not say urine anymore. It's a purposely low vibrating sound. It's orin. That is what English is, and it's light water. It's a liquid that channels light.
How do you want to spell that?
O-R-I-N.
O-R-I-N, okay.
Yeah, or even a nice way. I mean, I really like the Never-Ending Story. It's spelled A-U-R-Y-N. And so it's mixing the word aura with orin. And that's a word for gold, ore, and oro, things that are shiny. It's just all comes back around the sound. Isn't that nice?